State religion in the United States continued. As you look at Marxism, communism, and socialism, all of them rely heavily on the theory of evolution. This allows them to treat people like animals, because we humans are supposedly just animals. They must eliminate God. That was the second point in the last video, in order to murder and torture their own people that do not agree with their ideas and their type of government. These governments have killed literally over 100 million of their own people for political reasons. They were just political obstructions to their goals. Since the theory of evolution runs so contrary to science, it must be accepted solely by faith. But it is necessary to back up certain ideas around the world. Atheism, agnosticism, and any denial of God is just as much of a religion as Christianity or any other major religion in the world. And this religion does make a difference how a scientist interprets scientific evidence, and even the way he looks at science altogether. Nobel Prize winner in biology, Dr. George Wald, admitted this when he said, and I quote here, "There are only two possible explanations as to how life arose: spontaneous generation, arising to evolution, or a supernatural creative act of God. There is no other possibility." And he continued, spontaneous generation was scientifically disproved 120 years ago by Louis Pasteur and others. But that just leaves us with one other possibility: that life came as a supernatural act of creation by God. But I can't accept that philosophy because I do not want to believe in God. Therefore, I choose to believe in that which I know is scientifically impossible: spontaneous generation leading to evolution. Well, some of the scientists that have realized the fallacies of evolution are turning away from the theory, but former evolutionists do not know where to turn. Since intelligent design and creationism are not to be considered as alternatives, but evolution is so contradictory to science. So these former evolutionists are like the proverbial man without a country. But what are these scientific facts that are turning some of the staunchest evolutionists away from the theory? Well, let's take a look at just a tiny fraction of these contradictions with science. Most of us have been told since elementary school that the fossil record shows the clear path of evolution. Well, unfortunately for evolutionists, the exact opposite is true. Evolution is the constant change of organisms and creatures into new ones. Small amounts of change, often referred to as microevolution, have literally nothing to do with the idea of evolution, except that they would be needed, of course, if macroevolution were to take place. Well, those that believe in evolution, intelligent design, and creationism all admit that small changes take place all of the time. So Darwin's premise was that these small changes would lead to new kinds of creatures, and of course that would be macroevolution. Without these eventual large changes, evolution simply does not take place at all. Well, the thing that is necessary to prove the theory of evolution is what is known as intermediate fossils, also known as intermediate forms. For instance, if dogs had evolved into horses, there would be thousands of dorse fossils on display. Well, these intermediate fossils would be discovered by the tens of millions throughout the world, since many billions of fossils have been uncovered. Well, how many of these intermediate forms have been discovered? Zero. Not even one intermediate fossil has ever been discovered and verified. And Darwin readily admitted that unless these intermediate forms were discovered, his theory was wrong. In other words, he would have to join the thousands of former evolutionists in denying his own theory if he were alive today. Well, as you look at Marxism, communism, and socialism, all of them rely heavily on the theory of evolution. We'll continue on the next video and look at some more problems with the theory of evolution. Thank you for going to evosecrets.com.